I'm Jessica, and today we're with Kuya Jasper, Iturriaga. So Kuya Japs, okay, you're going from one place to another, traveling out of faith. How is Palawan different from all the places you've been?
Oh, Palawan is different. Number one, because it is probably the most beautiful island in the world. You can read it throughout different magazines, websites. It is one of the most beautiful islands in the world. And I think what makes it a little bit more different too is because of the geography. It's near the ocean, the mountains, the rugged terrain, and I think the mission field that is currently being touched by our missionaries here.
You've been with PAMAS for a few weeks. Can you tell us what did you learn from their stories?
Oh yeah, I'm currently with PAMAS, and PAMAS stands for Philippine Adventist Medical Aviation Services, and we run an aviation ministry here. And not only aviation, where we help people, bring them to the hospitals from the mountains, but we also have help people build schools up in the jungles. And so I've learned a lot from these teachers, man. These guys, they go up to the deepest parts of the jungles. They hike up to 18 hours just to go to the school. This place is really, really far from civilization, and they chose to be here. And I often ask them, what motivates you guys to stay in these places? And I've learned that all of them would say it's because of the love for the work and for the people. And that's something that I've really learned while I'm here.
What are the things that you've learned living with the natives?
I could stay here for hours and talk about that. But I think to concise the whole idea that I have in my heart currently about that question, the mountains has taught me so much. I've spent so much time with the locals, spend time with them and just listening to the stories. And I think one of the things that I've learned is that the struggle of just being sick in the jungle. And sadly, the reality is some of these guys are mistreated in our hospitals. They don't speak the language, and they're scared of COVID during this time. And so most of the time, these guys will just die if they're not willing to go to the hospital. And this is where the helicopter comes in. We come and rescue them. We help them to be treated. We bring a nurse for them. And without the helicopter, they'll be hiking for 10 hours, and just to give you a little idea about this, 1 minute in the helicopter is equals to an hour hike for a person. And so a 10-minute helicopter ride is already, a big blessing. You cut off the time for these people to hike to the hospital.
So let's talk about your vlogs. So how has this film ministry helped you? And what did you do so you can come up with the resources that can help the communities in the jungle?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's so funny because I was struggling about the whole idea because I had no plans of going here. It was because of COVID that I'm here. But I was just in my social media and featured the story, the girl Jillian, who's a teacher up in the mountains. I featured her in my stories. And in my Instagram stories, there are at least 1,000 to 2,000 people watching it every day. Every day in social media, people watch my content, and they're like 2,000 people. And so I presented the idea and I said, hey, you guys want to help this teacher? And the whole idea was maybe I could help them with 1 sack of rice, because I don't know if people would donate. And so I presented this idea, and in 4 days, we received $10,000. $10,000. That's crazy, in just 4 days through Instagram. And so God provided, and so we were able to we're still doing the mission trips around every single day now. We fly out, we bring nurses and doctors and dentists, and then we do a lot of medical missions up in the mountains. And it's all funded by my friends in Instagram. And if you needed something to convince you of how powerful social media is, I think this story fits it.
I am really inspired, hearing this wonderful story of yours. Thank you very much, Kuya Japs. And so here's another missionary, and his name is Daniel. So Daniel, let me just ask you, what are the things you realized seeing the life and the people in the jungle?
Yeah, so I'm Daniel. I'm from United States in California. Seeing the people here, they live so far out, and the healthcare opportunities for them is so limited. They don't have the opportunity to get to a hospital and get the care they need right away. And also having limited equipment and limited finances, A lot of times life here is cheap. People that in other places could definitely live, sadly we see them die sometimes. So that's one of the things that jumps out at me about the people here.
What do you do as a PAMAS pilot?
Yeah, my primary role is a volunteer helicopter pilot. The vast majority of our flights are actually emergency medical evacuations to remote areas. So we help both the native Palawanos in the mountains, as well as some of the isolated islands, help them with emergency medical evacs. We also support education projects. PAMAS has 3 mission schools, literacy schools, and we support that with aviation as well by bringing supplies, sometimes transporting teachers to remote areas. One of the really neat things that I've had the blessing to see is pioneering of new projects. So with the helicopter, we can fly into extremely remote areas in a matter of minutes that would take hours to hike into. So they're able to put missionaries there, have a school there, new opportunities for ministry that because of the helicopter and the efficiency, God's work is able to be maximized. What keeps the ministry running is God, 100%, the prayers of others. And of course, our ministry is completely donation supported. So I'm a volunteer, I make no salary, and all of the aviation expenses, the fuel for the helicopter, the maintenance, the parts, all of that is donation supported. So if God impresses you guys to give, to support, there's a variety of different ways. So perhaps the best for me to give is my email address, and that email address is pilot8@gmail.com. So that's pilot4HIM8@gmail.com.
Thank you so much, Daniel.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daniel, for that wonderful and inspiring story that you've shared to us. So again, catch us next time for more stories in the field.